Mr. Adam Conrad, how are we doing? It's lovely to see your face. I'm pumped to see all of you guys coming in through my live channel. I couldn't think of a better person to end the year talking to than Adam Conrad. Adam, love for you to kind of say hello and introduce yourself. I'm sure most of our followers already know who you are, but let's say hello to the fans.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Josh. That's awesome. I'm excited to be on here and chat all things staffing. Crazy year, right? I mean, I think a lot of things to talk about in 2020, and a lot of awesome things to look forward to in 2021. So this doesn't replace though. Like the thing I've missed the most is usually when I see you, it is followed up with a really nice hug. I'm a hugger, like lots of love, and I think that's probably what I missed most this year, man.
Most people have said that they miss my hugs, but I really appreciate that. I can't believe I think we're at over a year now since we've seen each other in person, which is like really disappointing in a lot of ways, and I feel like my blood pumps off of seeing people at conferences, specifically you. So I'm surprised that my heart is still palpitating these days.
I love it. Dude, we got to be really excited though. I mean, you look at the video conference. I couldn't imagine if this year happened even 5 years ago. It's pretty cool to see how technology has really been able to bridge a gap that, quite honestly, without it would not have. It would have felt a lot different. I mean, it's great to be able to see people face to face. I mean, I think the number one quote for 2020 was "You're on mute."
We were having an internal meeting literally yesterday, and David Falwell brought that stat up, and I think that is absolutely hilarious. It was really funny to see the Google searches, the top Google searches from
right.
Definitely way different. I think I saw the number one or in the top 10 Google searches was "What day is it?"
I've got 3 kids at home, right? 12, 9, and 5. And it's funny to hear them say, "Dad, are we at the weekend yet?" I'm thinking, dude, it's only Wednesday right now.
I know. Talk about having to adjust to weird work habits and weird work environments too. I will have to say I absolutely admire your office setup back there. You've got a lot better setup than my boring wallpaper here at WeWork.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. Well, mine comes with, you never know what's going to come through that door. It could be lunch. My wife might deliver me lunch, which is always good. It could be my dog who wants to barge in and lay on the couch. It could be a kid asking to help log into like PlayStation Network or something. So definitely different work surprises this year.
Yeah, maybe, hey Dad, you're taking all the bandwidth on my PlayStation. It's time to share, right?
That's right. It definitely has been a year with different challenges than what we've probably been accustomed to in the past.
Speaking of kiddos, did you have a favorite Christmas gift that you got this year? Or maybe one that you got them? What were they most excited about?
Yeah, for me, like the magic of Christmas is your kids coming downstairs for us and kind of that awe of knowing what you went to bed with. And then when you wake up and just seeing the explosion of gifts, I think that to me is the biggest gift I got. I just love to see the excitement, the kids and family. And, it's a great time of year. It was a little bit different for us, but having the family here and being able to celebrate, you can't replace that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have any kiddos at home, but I do have a four-legged kiddo and a dog. And she definitely got more presents than I did from my girlfriend, and definitely she got more presents from me than my girlfriend did. So I'd have to say that was probably my favorite part, was giving her treats and watching her just ferociously try and rip open the packaging was probably my favorite part of Christmas this year.
It was the dog opening gifts, and then my daughter who's 5. A lot of pink toys this year. We've been well, it was fun to see them. The excitement was between my daughter and my dog. It was kind of crazy. So anyway.
That is awesome. But speaking of the holidays, I think New Year's is always symbolic. You know, the day is always a symbolic day for a lot of people, a lot of reflection, a lot of excitement on what to expect. And I think across the board, everyone's looking forward to the new year and kind of just putting a ribbon on 2020 to keep things staffing, which, you know, we always love to do. What are you looking forward to most in 2021 from a staffing perspective? And you can't say conferences.
No, you know, we spend a lot of time talking to our customers, right? I mean, we're people. I think what 2020 has really brought a lot of humanity to this industry and to my conversations. I mean, we're broadcasting here from my home office, and people that normally wouldn't got to join me in my home virtually, and I got to join them in their home. And you know, we had a lot of heartfelt conversations, and I think there was a lot of up and downs. Some people were impacted more than others.
Yeah.
But I think what I'm looking forward to the most is people are accepting of the situation we're in. The shock and awe is over, and now it's back to business. It's rebuild, continue to grow, do those things, be innovative, understand that a brick and mortar industry that this has been. I've had so many exciting conversations of how people can expand their opportunities because they realize they can survive in a remote workforce. And you can't replace the hugs. And I'm big on being face to face. But I think if anything, it's definitely opened the eyes to a lot of those firms that might have been very traditional to really realize, like, if we don't start adopting and modernizing ourselves and getting out of the way we did things back in the 90s, I think that realization has been really cool. And I'm excited to see what comes of it in 2021.
That's a really awesome perspective, and I think a great one, and a very optimistic one, which is very important to keep in mind these days. I think probably I'd share some of that same sentiment, and I think what I'm looking forward to most is, I think this was a year for a lot of evaluation for people, right? Both some forced financially, right? And then others was, hey, we've got a lot of downtime. I'm sitting at home working. Like, am I running my business the most efficient? And I think people got locked and loaded this year, and 2021 is now like, okay, now we can actually go play with our new toys, right? Now we can actually, to your point, get back to business with everything that we just kind of revamped for and got everybody reinvigorated for. And I think across the board, Q1 is just going to be fun. You're going to see all these staffing agencies that have spent, to me, I feel like 2020 was a lot of prepping, right? And a lot, we got to get ready. And people were like, let's just wait until 2021 to launch, wait until 2021. And now that we're here, it's like, it's going to be go time, and it's going to be fun to see the fireworks go off for folks in Q1 and just really see truly, this is kind of where the rubber will meet the road when we get to see how our industry is, like, how revamped it truly got over 2020,
Yeah, I agree. And I think, it's going beyond. I think you're going to see a greater marriage of technology, not replacing. Like, I think that was the rhetoric 2, 3, 4 years ago. Technology is going to replace the recruiter, just like the job boards. And I think there's definitely elements of our industry. I think you're going to see a lot more of self-service type opportunities. I think those are going to grow. High transaction, high frequency type positions. Maybe there's not as much a need for that one-on-one interaction, but I also think you're going to see the human element of recruiting become center stage again. And I think technology kind of took that center stage. Yeah. People played with it. They figured out automations, and you realize just because you can automate something doesn't mean you should. So I think people are getting smart with what they automate to not take busy work off their plates, but to be a value add to the people you serve. And I really think that that's where we're going to start seeing technology really help supplement and augment the recruiter's time to build relationships on the other side of the business. So it's going to be fun to see how these things come together. But I think the human element of recruiting is probably going to be one of the biggest talked about things. Saying you create a great experience doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
Because it's the people that can prove it and show it and actually do it that's really going to matter. And I think the buyer or the candidate or the clients are a lot more savvier than what they have been in the past as it relates to how automation is going to actually help them be better.
Right. And I think it's finally like we saw this like turn in the industry where it used to be like, how does technology serve me? Right. Like, how does technology serve my recruiters? How can I use technology to make them more efficient? And to your point, we're finally seeing that flip to like, well, no, how can we use technology to make the customer experience better? Right. Or the candidate experience better? You know, there are some elements where they don't need to talk to a human, but if we're going to replace the human, it's because it's for the candidate, not because it's, you know, shaving our costs. So we're finally seeing technology being adopted the right way, which is going to just be a very good thing for our industry.
Yeah, and I think 2020 woke up a lot of the laggards. I think we are an industry that is very people centric. I do believe that technology has created some disruption, which is great. But I think inherently there's a lot of laggards in this industry. Kind of want to do it the old ways, want to keep doing it the old ways. And I think what we've seen is those modern firms who have figured out the key of marrying technology with the human element are going to see exponential growth. They're going to get more of the market share. They're going to be better positioned to serve people in a very meaningful way. And so, you know, for those that are kind of still sitting back and wondering where technology fits in their future, I think you're going to see they're going to get left behind or fall further behind exponentially than what maybe they had seen in the past.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you there more. I think one thing too, this is a little bit of an offshoot, but like, you know, I think also people in our industry, like, if you stayed this year and you stayed within your organization, I think that like it means because you really wanted to. I can't tell you how many friends I know have changed jobs during the pandemic because they've had so much time to sit at home and self-reflect. And also, I think we're seeing this across, you know, society is like valuing what's really important to me. You know, when troubling times come up, you want to value it. And so I think, you know, what I am really excited is the people that have stayed in the recruiting industry are the passionate ones, right? And I think it kind of helped cut off some of those people that, you know, weren't really in it for the people to people business, or, you know, we're just in it for the paychecks. And I've heard that from a lot of recruiting organizations, is like they've got the most lean and the best recruiters that they've had in a while because the pandemic has almost forced that on them.
Which I think is the right point of like, get your best people the best tools to make them even be able to do more. You don't need as large a recruitment teams when you have the technology, and that's not a bad thing. It's not to say there's too many, but I think it definitely helps those who are going to excel much faster, right? Those who adopt the ways to do this down to the individual. I mean, that's what great recruiters is about, right? It's about helping those individuals elevate their own performance, listen to the audiences in which they serve, learn from that, figure out what things need to be tweaked, whether it's people, process, or technology. I think those people that have listened through 2020, and that's, I think, what has forced them to do, are going to come out a lot better and a lot faster out of the gates, right? Yeah. They're not spending 2021, the beginning, figuring this stuff out. They took the opportunity in 2020 to figure it out, and they're coming out of the gates rolling.
I was just going to say, you've seen people, I mean, we're seeing people starting to launch, you know, these new candidate experience, their new candidate experience journeys even in December. Like, I think there's people that are already taking advantage of those folks that are waiting for Q1. I think if you've waited till Q1, to your point about being a laggard, to kind of figure out what your strategies could be, I think the ones that have spent all of this year are going to be blowing you out of the water pretty quickly.
Yeah. I mean, in a nutshell, Josh, I'm really excited about the hope of this industry. You know, I've been doing this for 20 plus years. I love this industry. You know, I left to help further pursue this industry and help other staffing firms. And for me, the conversations that I've had and the opportunities that I see within the industry to grow and mature itself, I don't see happen at the same rate that it did that 2020 forced it. And I think overall, I always like to look at the silver lining, as tough as it was. And it was a tough year. I mean, there was a lot lot of challenges and loss, and it was. I think it's tough to not look at the world view of it was a challenging year, but I think for many people, they saw the opportunity that it also presented, and made lemon out of lemonade, I guess, or lemonade out of lemons.
A little backed up, but hey, it's 2020, right?
Begin with the end in mind, I guess.
Yeah, right. Speaking of that, did you see an industry, a vertical within our industry in particular that probably faced the most challenge during the pandemic? Or if you want to, as you like to do, stick on the positive, one that you see probably turning it around or turned around the quickest, or is best served for Q1 next year?
I mean, I think it's easy to look back in hindsight. Obviously, the healthcare industry's really flourished.
Yeah.
As far as another industry that I think as a broad stroke was impacted, I saw this very regional.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it impact people differently based on what their client base was.
Yep.
So if you were a staffing firm that had 80%, let's say, invested in theaters or conferences, yeah, you were impacted a lot more because that went away. But to say IT firms, I know IT firms that absolutely flourished because of the type of client base. I think the big thing that I talked to smaller firms about was really the diversification of their portfolios. If you got 80% of your eggs in one basket and that goes away, it's really tough to recover quickly. So I think the conversations of how do we diversify, how do we expand, but also how do we just get really good at one thing, continue driving down in those one thing and maybe diversify across your different customer bases that fall within different industries. That's what I really see. So it's tough to say. I mean, I think the labor side, the commercial side in some areas really flourished. In others,
didn't. Those industries that you would probably have thought wouldn't have flourished, like light industrial in some places, I talked to firms that had the best year they've ever had. And to me, I think it was the ones, to take your point, that saw this as an opportunity. How can I use this as a chance to grow, reflect, and make better processes? And I think the ones that were able to adopt the quickest, those are the ones that were able to use this year as a year of growth, not as a year to look back. But it was really, that was also, I would say, one of the fun things about this year was getting to work with all these staffing firms on those projects of, hey, I need to diversify, whether it is within my core vertical, or hey, we would see IT firms starting to get into warehouse and manufacturing. So it was really fun in that aspect to see how creative these staffing firms would get when kind of their head was, their gun was put against their head, so to speak.
Yeah, and it's adapt, improvise, and overcome, I guess. I think staying true to who you are, but I think it also gave people a wake-up call to actually say, who are we?
Right.
How do we differentiate? Why are we any different? Are we any different? Do we say the same thing? For me, the biggest differentiator for any staffing firm is their people.
Yep.
How you support those people. And I talked to some recruiters who felt lost and abandoned on an island, where I saw other staffing firms who went remote who said, this is the best thing. We're never going to go back in a building. And it's preference. I get it. But I think that it was the way that the culture of those organizations and the way they treat their people, I think becomes an extension of what their place talent's going to feel and what their clients are going to feel. When things get tough, how are they going to handle it? And I think those who handle it well internally do a great job of handling it well externally.
Spot on. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more there. Hey, I don't want to keep our folks too long. Seems like we've got a lot of people in the waiting room and throwing some comments out there. So everyone, we really appreciate that. As a final question, Adam, we'll keep things pretty fun here. What was your favorite piece of technology, and it has to be outside of staffing, that you discovered and used? Could be in your personal life, your family life, but something that came technology that you didn't know about in 2019 that you can now not live without. Wow,
that's a real tough one. I don't know. I discovered Canva this year, which I thought was pretty cool. That's what I discovered, quite honestly. I thought that was pretty neat. And live streaming apps, things that help you do live stream and kind of keep in front of your audience, I think has been pretty cool as well.
I'm gonna let a little too much into my social life here, but I'm gonna have to say the discovery of the Amazon Fire Stick and being able to, within one button, go from Hulu to Netflix to Amazon Prime back to Disney Plus has definitely made my life just a whole lot better. So that goes to show you, where I'm at in my days of quarantine.
Well, then you could say I'm pretty well versed on family management with network. So
yeah,
you know how to put on parental controls. Just give me a shout. I've spent
figuring that out. Pick up a second job here to pay for the increase in your bandwidth. This is Xfinity now become the well bill in the Conrad household?
I think we go with wow, but either way.
Adam, it's always great to see your face. I honestly, and I truly mean this, I think not being able to see the likes of you and our staffing friends at conferences has easily been the biggest disappointment of 2020. I am really hoping that at some point in 2021, we get to a point where we're able to travel and see not just each other, but see our clients, our friends and colleagues in the staffing space. Because I think a lot of us in the staffing industry kind of live and breathe off of people and people interaction. So I really hope I can give you one of my hugs soon, man.
I love it. Well, hey, have a great 2021, kick off the new year well, and looking forward to growing together here in the future.
All right, Adam. Good to see you as always, man. Happy New Year.
You too. Happy New Year. Take care.